but now for this album, I really liked to go back to science fiction, you know, because that's where my heart lies. You know. From the first time I saw Star Trek, it was so.
Yeah, because this new album seems to talk about the creation of the world.
Yes.
And as we can say in the trailer on the Ayreon's official website, in this video it is mentioned that you will be back to your roots.
Yeah.
The artworks from all your previous albums can also be seen. So this all seems to indicate that there's a link between this album and the previous ones. Can you tell us more about it?
It was there's actually a link to all my albums. There's a link to the Fine Experiment, because in the Fine Experiment I said that in 2084 the Earth will perish. So that's a constant that's in all my Ayreon albums now. Basically, it's sort of like a sequel to Electric Castle, because Electric Castle talks about an alien from a planet called Y, called Forever. The alien's called Forever, and he's testing humans for their emotions, because he lost his emotions. So this time I was like, what does his planet look like, you know, and why did they lose their emotions? So basically that was the start of my story. Like, okay, I'll make a story on his planet, which is planet Y, which is binary for 0101 1001. And that way it's all connected to each other. And it's becoming a whole Ayreon universe, and I never planned it that way. You know, the first album was just an album, and the second album, and the third album, but suddenly they started like going into each other, combining into each other. And then I had that story about Planet Y, and then I thought, well, I can't have the whole story on Planet Y, and then I said I want part of the story to be on Earth as well. And then I was like, what if we were created by an alien DNA, you know? And that's how the whole story got together.
Do your friends say to you that you're crazy?
Oh yes, everyone does.
Okay.
But
the human equation,
of course, it's I don't really think much.
Okay. The human equation met with tremendous success. So much so that it's now considered to be Ayreon masterpiece. Now we all wonder about the post-masterpiece album, and many examples have shown that the audience is often disappointed. For example, the after Mandalorian of the Gathering was disappointed. And do you think that the album that follows a masterpiece is doomed to disappoint the audience?
It is. If it's the same style, or it is if it's a part 2. You know, look at all the part 2s of albums. Operation Mindcrime. The original is so good. You know, you can't do anything better than that. You know, it's so great. You should, you know, if you do a sequel, make it completely different. You know, it's like any movie. You know, like The Exorcist or The Omen or any movie, you know, it's such a shame you make a part 2 that's completely different. I think then you can do it, and that's what I try with Ayreon. I try not to do it in the same style, to make something completely different. Like, I think this last album is very different from Human Equation. Human Equation was...
So the style is very different?
Yeah, I think...
The musical style and the lyrics?
Yeah, it was a very clear story. The Human Equation was like very clear. The singers were very loud, and this time I wanted more like a band, you know. I wanted it to be heavier, I wanted it to be more complicated, and not so easy for the people. And I think if I would have made it easy for the people and make Human Equation part 2, people would compare it. But now people will say, no, it's different, I can't compare it.
Okay.
And basically that's what I'm always trying to do. Because before the Human Equation, people said Electric Castle was a masterpiece, you know, you'll never top that. And then I made Human Equation, which is again completely different from Electric Castle, because Electric Castle is very cheesy, you know, it's about Romans and Egyptians and fighting with swords and shit, you know. It's more Disney kind of a comic story, you know. And then you got Human Equation, which is a very clear story, and now you got this very cryptic, very complicated story that actually it could be based on reality, because they say that our DNA could be from outer space. There's a big chance that it is. So I'm not afraid of that at all. You know, people might say, okay, I prefer the human equation, but I don't think they will compare. You know, because it's also it's completely different singers again. That's also the thing. You know, when Greenstrike do Operation, it's the same band, the same singer. But this time it's so different, and all the musicians and the whole production there. I'm not scared about that at all.
And have you ever thought to make an album, a concept album about that wasn't fantastic, that wasn't science fiction? For example, a very realistic concept
Like The Wall.
Yeah, for example.
Well, I think Human Equation was that, kind of, you know. It was basically about a man in a coma who's fighting with demons that happen in his life, you know. So I think basically that was a departure from the science fiction thing I'm doing. But I think in a way Ayreon is science fiction, you know. That's what Ayreon is about. It would be the same as let's do a Star Wars that isn't science fiction, or let's do a Jaws that isn't horror, you know. So I think it will always be part either science fiction or fantasy, or maybe even a horror story. Maybe that would be a nice departure, you know, to do. But that's hard because it's been done before.
People often talk about your many different musical influences. Can hear some Deep Purple influences, for example, on the Flight of the Migrator.
Definitely. The Hammond.
Yeah, the Hammond sound, on Dawn of the Millions. Or even the black metal, or the
absolutely. Yeah.
Opeth, for example, with the Human Equation.
Yeah.
But it seems you don't even do it on purpose. I mean, sometimes it looks like you take from the stock the influence that will best fit a passage of the story you're telling. Do you use the music you like to create the concept, or is it the story you're telling that directs you towards a certain type of...
It's the other way around.
Yeah.
Because if I would have
you write the music first.
Yeah. Because if I would have story first, I would be limited. You know, then I would have story, and then would have the music fit the story. And then I'm limited musically, and I don't want to be that, you know. Like if I would say like, okay, I want the next one to be a horror story, then the music, you know, I couldn't do like 60 stuff or fun stuff. It would be, and I limit myself, and I don't want to limit myself. So what I do is I first write all the music, and then I let the music inspire me for the lyrics. So for instance, a very dark and heavy period part will get a black metal singer, or will get a growl, and a very happy part will get like a 60s kind of Beatles sound. So it's the other way around.